For more, we're joined now by Behnam Ben Taleblu, Senior Fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Behnam, great to have you with us, as always, on The Rundown.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Now, what message is Tehran sending by holding these naval drills with Russia right now? And how coordinated truly is this show of force? Because when Tehran really needed support from one of its strongest allies during the war with Israel, Moscow was nowhere to be found. Is this signaling a shift, perhaps?
Well, I don't think it's signaling a shift. It's signaling more of the same that the West certainly needs to pay attention to. And make no mistake, there is this axis of aggressors or axis of authoritarians out there: Russia, China, North Korea, Iran. These are different regimes run by different types of men, but that have the same kind of baseline pro-authoritarianism, anti-American worldview that leads to them to do things like militarily revise the balance of power in the region and attack partners and allies of the U.S., whether they be the Ukrainians or the Israelis. In their respective region. When you're looking at the Russia-Iran relationship, you should take into account the historical mistrust and the fact that sometimes where there is breadth, there may not necessarily be the commensurate depth. Russia certainly is moving to, with more domestic production of drones, wean off some of that dependence, but that doesn't mean that relationship has not translated elsewhere, has not manifested itself for our eyes today. There's been, since at least 2018 or 2019, a whole host of Russia, Iran, and Russia, China, Iran naval drills. That necessarily isn't the story. The story is that Iran has options to go east to continue to fight the West, and broadly is trying to threaten that as publicly as possible, even though it doesn't have the military capabilities alone to put its muscle behind that at the moment.
All right, and what about nuclear negotiations? If the UN snapback mechanism is triggered, what retaliatory steps can we expect from Iran beyond this rhetoric that they're threatening?
Well, I think the Islamic Republic's strongest cards here, most unfortunately, are actually political cards, meaning I think the 10-plus rounds of E3 engagement you've had in Geneva and Vienna between the Islamic Republic and the E3 foreign ministers, or even at a lower level, still is dangerous, just because we haven't seen the E3 be able to translate the military win of the Americans or the military win of the Israelis during the 12-day war into a political win for themselves, or really for the Western Bloc. So I think the Iranians are trying to throw everything at the wall here to prevent snapback and try to force the Europeans to potentially issue a resolution that would extend or delay the snapback mechanism, put more time on the clock, and in so doing water down the macro level effects of economic pressure that the Trump administration is levying against the Islamic Republic, that is popularly called maximum pressure. So once again here, the Islamic Republic is trying to turn time into a weapon on its side, and it's threatening to reduce the monitoring available to the West and to the world via potentially threaten to even leave the NPT, and that is a dangerous political threat.
Do you think that dangerous political threat is more dangerous than also Iran's threat to stop securing the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz? What type of implications would this threat also have?
Well, to be clear, I think for the 46-year history of the Islamic Republic has been more of an impediment and a threat to the free flow of oil and commerce and other maritime vessels in the Persian Gulf and in the Strait of Hormuz. So there's not really much of a security role the Islamic Republic is playing here for the international commons, other than securing the very narrow regime interests here, not even the national interests, which again is concurrent with the Western interests or the global interests of a free flow of oil and freedom of commerce in that region. So I think the Islamic Republic is trying to take now the scary image it's created in the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb with the proxies that it's armed like the Houthis, and potentially dangle the threat of that image being retranslated back into a domain not where the Iran has a proxy, but where the regime itself is, where the patron is, and to dangle the threat of impediments to maritime trade and freedom of navigation in the Persian Gulf.
And so, Behnam, quickly, do you think that these moves then suggest Iran is feeling cornered internationally, or it feels confident that it can fight back against these Western powers?
I think the Islamic Republic understands it can fight back, but most importantly, it can't land blows over time. It can do damage in a way that sends someone to the hospital, but potentially could send itself to the morgue here. So really, the strongest threats here are the political nature of these threats. I think the West has shown, I think Israel has shown that you can intercept Iranian ballistic missiles, that you can fight against Iran-backed piracy and freedom of navigation threats in international waterways. The question really is one of resolve. And so the Islamic Republic is trying to beef up its resolve because it knows it doesn't have much more military capacity left in the tank.
Behnam Ben Taleblu, great to hear your analysis, as always, when it comes to Iran and its many, many threats, it seems. Thank you.